officer assaulted.
The rain has arrived along with the thunder and the lightning. Now lock in because it's going to be a wet week. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
Also, we're loading up potatoes with Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A Joplin police officer fires on a suspect who had assaulted another officer. Thank you for joining us for the KOAM News at Noon. I'm Chris Warner. According to Captain Trevor Duncan with JPD, it happened around 11:30 Saturday night. Officers went to check on 3 people who were walking near 9th and Connor in the alley. JPD says when officers made contact, one of the people took off running, prompting one of the officers to chase after them. Officers say that person assaulted the officer. That's when another officer fired, shooting the suspect. The suspect was taken into custody and then treated at a hospital. The officer who fired is on paid administrative leave per JPD policy. The officer who was assaulted was treated and released at the scene. None of the names of the suspect or the 2 officers are being released at this time. A report of a shooting turns into a homicide investigation for Pittsburgh police. PPD received a call regarding a shooting at 111 West Park Street. When officers arrived, they found 64-year-old Harold Sheets of Pittsburgh with a gunshot wound. He was pronounced dead on the scene. Officers questioned 61-year-old Verla Gilliand of Pittsburgh, then placed her under arrest, awaiting charges of second-degree murder. Police say they believe the incident came from an argument between the two. Gilliand is being held on a $150,000 bond. A serious crash near the airport over the weekend brings in the Joplin Police Department's major crash team. Officials say around 3 o'clock Sunday morning, a car traveling west on MacArthur Drive out of Webb City left the road and crashed into the concrete base of a traffic signal at St. Louis and Highway 171. The driver of the car, a 50-year-old woman, was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. Officials say she was not wearing her seatbelt. There were no other people in the car. A Southwest Missouri firefighter is killed in the line of duty. Just before 9 o'clock Friday night, 30-year-old Dustin Brandhorst was driving a fire truck to the scene of a structure fire in Greene County. The truck traveled off the right side of the roadway and overturned, killing Brandhorst. Brandhorst was a member of the Ebenezer Fire Protection District. 1 person was killed and at least 24 others were injured in a shooting outside a car show in Arkansas. It happened Saturday night in Dumas, about 75 miles southeast of Little Rock. Investigators say the gunfire erupted during a car show, which was a fundraiser for local schools. 1 person is in custody, though there are reports there were multiple shooters involved. It was a reunion of sorts at Mocan Speedway over the weekend and preps for a larger anniversary party in the near future. Sunday was a beautiful day to watch the cars on the strip as part of the Mocan 10th annual Hot Rod Reunion and Swap Meet. Around 150 cars lined up to race and make their way to the top.
Today we're running our spring Hot Rod Reunion. It's a nostalgia drag race, car show, and swap meet. We do one of these in the spring and one in the fall. They're very popular here at Mocan.
Now, Mocan opened up in 1962 and is having a special race in July to celebrate its 60th anniversary. And while the weather was fantastic yesterday, it's not so fantastic today, unfortunately.
I tell you what, life's about timing, isn't it, Chris?
It is.
And for Mocan, it was perfect timing.
It was, and it was great that it was the weekend because, you know, usually around here, it's nasty on the weekend, and then it's great when you've got to go to work.
So what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to give you a 180 this week. We're going to have to put up with rain for most of the work week, but by the time we get to the 7-day forecast and look at our weekend, it's going to turn back into gorgeous 4-state weather.
I love that.
But here we are. The rain did creep in early this morning. Live look outside of Television City. It's been rather sporadic here. Every now and then you get a little pop-up shower, but it certainly has dominated southeast Kansas for most of the morning. Really started about 9-10 o'clock down to our southwestern portion, and here's where we stand currently, seeing heavy rain for the north central portion of the 4 states, now beginning to get those little pockets into southwest Missouri. Recent lightning strike right there in Neosho, and this band that almost works itself in a horseshoe-like fashion This is where we've seen the majority of the lightning throughout the morning hours. Everything moving up kind of from OKC, but also too down here by Ponca City. And then instead of continually moving to the north, actually taking a little easterly push. And that's why we're stuck with it for not only the rest of the day, but like Chris alluded to, really the rest of the work week. 54 in Chanute, 60 in Monette, 59 in Miami. Point being, even as the system moves in, not a whole lot of drop in temperature. As a matter of fact, for the next 2 days, we'll still be able to reach 60s each and every afternoon. So while the temperature is not a problem, here's what is: the rain that doesn't stop. Even as we work into tonight, now we're much more widespread with the heavy rain throughout southwest Missouri, leading us into Tuesday morning. Now, this is a little deceptive. You go, oh, a little bit of a break, we'll be done. Now, we're going to be right back on it for Tuesday morning's commute, and then spread out a little wider for Tuesday afternoon and evening. Now, coming up here in just a little bit, Chris, I do want to talk about Tuesday in particular because of our increased threat on the severe thunderstorm risk map. And at some point in time, with those rain chances on Wednesday and Thursday as well, we're eventually going to have to talk about flooding concerns.
Absolutely. Michael, thank you so much. Topping World Watch, Russia's deadly invasion of Ukraine is now in its 4th week and shows no signs of letting up. This despite several days of ceasefire talks. President Biden is preparing to take a trip overseas to discuss strategy with NATO partners as Ukraine struggles to defend its nation. Skylar Henry has the latest from Washington.
Ukraine is determined to defend the hard-hit city of Mariupol. Leaders there rejected Russia's offer to allow civilians to escape if Ukraine would surrender the port city. But time may be running out for thousands stranded in basements. We have been here for 11 days, she says. We have some food and some firewood, but in a week we'll have nothing. What should we do? Mariupol would be a significant victory for Vladimir Putin, allowing Russian forces stationed across southern Ukraine to connect with soldiers in the east.
His campaign is stalled. He's not been able to achieve the goals as rapidly that he wants to achieve as rapidly as he wants to achieve them.
Russian missiles are also pounding targets in Kyiv. At least 8 people were killed in an attack on a shopping mall, the latest violence which appears to be targeting civilians. President Biden had a call today with European leaders about the ongoing crisis, and he travels to Belgium this week to meet face-to-face with American allies. On the agenda, possible additional sanctions against Russia, more humanitarian assistance for refugees, and military aid for NATO troops near the Ukrainian border. The United Nations estimates the war has uprooted about 10 million Ukrainians. For civilians left behind, the violence is overwhelming. There are now so many bodies, volunteers are burying them wherever they can, including by the side of some roads. More than 900 civilians have been killed in the fighting, and that number is rising every day. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
Ukrainian authorities also said Russia shelled a chemical plant in northeastern Ukraine, sending toxic ammonia leaking into the air. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on the KOAM News at Noon, the bang of the gavel opens confirmation hearings in D.C. And later, we'll have more on that story, don't you worry. And in time for the Sweet 16, Howard cooking up what you're seeing there. It's a little March Madness appetizer. Nation Watch, 4 days of confirmation hearings are now underway for Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. She is President Biden's pick to be the next Supreme Court Associate Justice. And if confirmed, Judge Jackson would be the first African-American woman to sit on the nation's highest court. Deborah Alfarone has more from day one on Capitol Hill.
Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson arrived for the start of 4 days of hearings on her Supreme Court nomination.
With your nomination, we can be confident that the court, its role, and its decisions will be more understandable to the American public.
All 22 members of the Senate Judiciary Committee will deliver opening remarks before Judge Jackson introduces herself.
In any Supreme Court nomination, the most important thing that I look for is the nominee's view of the law, judicial philosophy, and view on the role of a judge in our constitutional system.
Judge Jackson currently sits on the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. She's also been a district judge, public defender, and served on the U.S. Sentencing Commission.
Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says he will be watching these hearings before deciding whether to support Judge Jackson. And he says he expects Republicans to ask some tough questions in the coming days.
It'll be a respectful deep dive into her record, which I think is entirely appropriate for a lifetime appointment.
So far, no Republican has committed to supporting her nomination, but all eyes are on the 3 GOP senators who voted to confirm Judge Jackson to the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals last year.
Her credentials and the breadth of her experience are impressive. I will, of course, await the hearings before the Judiciary Committee before making a decision.
If the Democrats vote together, they can confirm Judge Jackson without any Republican support. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Senator Dick Durbin says Judge Jackson is still on track to have a full Senate vote on her confirmation by Easter. Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, it's Mr. Food.
We've cooked up a crazy good appetizer just in time for March Madness. Wait until you see what it is.
But wait until you see Michael Hayslip's complete forecast. That's up next.
That's going to affect our daily almanac here by the end of the week. Now, that being said, we are still about 1.3 inches down from our historical norm. If you go back to January 1, we need to play a little catch-up, and what we're going to see is we take a live look over 7th and Rangeline. I was trying to pick up some lightning strikes there just to give you an illustration about what that was looking like, and really just haven't been able to really pick anything up close to the Joplin area. Does not mean we're not getting lightning. We certainly are throughout portions of southeast Kansas, just not in the purview of our tower cam. 56 degrees is where we stand right now. But let's talk about how much rain our ground can hold. Now, even though we had light showers last week, still should be good enough to have it mostly absorbed throughout today and really most of tomorrow as well. But however, since we're going to have rain on Wednesday and Thursday, by the time we get to really probably about Wednesday night, that's when we're going to see the streams and creeks extremely swollen. Here's where we stand lightning-wise. Still, majority of it through southeast Kansas right there. Picking up a couple strikes down in Newton County by Neosho, and the heavy rain, look at this band. It stretches in Lamar, cuts right through Fort Scott, and then all the way north up toward Garnett. When we talk about where the heavy rain is also coming down, you got a secondary band. Almost get a split right here from Pittsburgh down to Joplin, where you get the shower activity, but not the heavy rain. Here's band number 2 that's working its way to the northeast from Oswego and then cutting its way through Parsons, just right in between Chanute and Independence. 2 on the storm tracks here, just as kind of a cheater, is give you an idea about where everything's originating from and also, too, where it's headed. So we go down here. We knew it was going to come out of the OKC and Tulsa areas, and yep, certainly enough. Instead of just making that northerly track like it started to this morning, now we see the northeasterly push, which means all this down here is going to feed right through us for the rest of the day. That being said, it's not bringing us a cold front as of yet. Temperatures have remained pretty steady anywhere from low 50s, where we see 53 in Independence. Check out Stockton, already pushing up to 65 degrees. Joplin right now at 56. The wind tracker as well. We always pay attention to when those arrows begin to swirl. But we haven't seen a low pressure really kick in as of yet. This thing was sitting out to the west, and that's where it's going to hang for the most part. And that really does help us temperature-wise for Monday and Tuesday, because by the time we get to Wednesday, we're going to see all these arrows pretty much flip down, drop in from the north, and give us much chillier temperatures just in time for the middle of the week. So as we reset, my goodness, look at that span of lightning running all the way from the Kansas-Oklahoma state line down through Ponca City up through OKC. And we are kind of the national talker, if you will. There's a big jet stream. That's how that low pressure's hanging right now. As it grabs that Gulf moisture, we started off this morning with elevated fire concerns. Isn't that something else? Elevated fire weather at 5 a.m. and here at the noontime, we're trying to see how much rain we can end up absorbing. But as it just follows the arrows of the jet stream up all day long, the rain just not going to go anywhere. As a matter of fact, don't get rid of that umbrella until we get to Friday. Here's what we've got cooking here throughout the evening hours. We really see the widespread rain throughout southwest Missouri as well. Certain portions of the far east highlighted counties have been spared so far. That's going to change for tonight into Tuesday. Now, speaking of Tuesday, while we get the thunder and lightning and some heavy rains at times today, Tuesday is a little bit more interesting because we see some more defined lines of thunderstorms that begin to break out. And also, too, instead of rolling up from the south, almost stalling over us, giving us that counterclockwise motion. So what does that do? Well, the severe thunderstorm risk map puts that high category down by the Gulf, but Tuesday is where we find ourselves in that marginal category, central, all throughout southwest Missouri right there. Biggest threats are going to be not only high winds, also the possibility of some hail from Tuesday all the way into Wednesday. And there we are, reaching out of the Gulf. But now, this is where we stall out and we begin to turn over. You'll also notice, Chris, look at this. Hey. Okay, so temperatures are fine Monday and Tuesday. But then we've got rain showers, and we drop about 20 degrees. Wednesday and Thursday, we're only going to be in the 40s. Light at the end of the tunnel. Chris was asking for a great 4-state weekend. That's what we can provide. We'll get the rain out of here by Thursday. Friday, sunny skies, back into the 60s for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
I do like that. And that's a rare thing around here. People at home know that. It's kind of rare for us to, it's usually the opposite. It rains on the weekend, it's yucky, nasty, and then, you get ready for work, you get ready for school. Here comes the sun, beautiful weather.
And really, to throw an additional silver lining on that, the ground is going to be moist enough. If you want to get out this weekend, if you got massive yard work that you want to get done, dig a garden, maybe you got some stuff you want to pull out, ground's going to be perfect for it.
I've noticed the grass is starting to turn a little bit greener.
Getting there, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. I'm liking it. Michael, thank you so much. And we take this time now to honor today's 4-state hero. Corporal Daniel Kastner served in the United States Marine Corps in 2005. He fought in Afghanistan and received the Purple Heart. A native of Galena, we salute Corporal Daniel Kastner, today's 4-state hero, and we thank you, our 4-state hero. Want to try a new spin on a game day appetizer? Well, Howard's going to show us how to make loaded potato roll-ups over in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
It's March Madness, which means we're going to need a few fun foods to serve while we're rooting for our favorite teams. And rather than serving the same predictable stuff over and over again, we have a new idea that we know will be a slam dunk. We begin by warming some store-bought refrigerated garlic mashed potatoes just to the point that they're soft. To those, we add a bit of shredded cheddar cheese and some sliced scallions, and we give that a good mix. Now for the fun part. We lay out a dozen egg roll skins and place a couple of spoonfuls of mashed potatoes in the center of each one. On top of that, we add a little more cheddar cheese and some bacon bits. Then all we have to do is brush the edges with some beaten egg before folding the flap that's closest to you over the potato mixture. Then fold in the sides and roll it up like this. Once they're done, we'll fry them until they're golden, and we'll drain them on some paper towels. What you end up with is an all-American twist on an egg roll that tastes like a loaded baked potato wrapped up in a crispy, crunchy crust. I hope you'll go online and get the recipe for our loaded potato roll-ups so you can add these to your game day or any day lineup. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a winning way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. You know where you go? KOAMNewsNow.com. Now, here's a look at 4-state market prices.
Into motion one more time, where the rain will persist for the duration of our Monday. Don't be fooled by that little break right there. We're right back at it all the way from Tuesday through Thursday as well.
Michael, that's who you are. Thank you so much. Dow Quick joins what's coming up at 5.
Well, at 5, estimates show that 1 in 5 adolescents and teens have a diagnosed mental health disorder. And the pandemic has caused that number to jump even higher. Check out a new organization that provides mental health resources in schools created by teens. Plus, voters in McDonald County School District decide in April whether to approve a $21 million bond. We're going to have details. And 8 months after the city of Joplin was hit with a data breach, we're now learning the cost of that breach. Hope you'll join us. KOAM News at 5.
All right, guys, thank you. It's our time for now. We'll see you back here at 5.